in the beginning, you know, as a teenager, you're mad at the world. You know what I mean? Like me, I was mad. I have a tooth mark in every single knuckle
What the?
before bare knuckle started.
You're getting ready.
You know that I was born for this. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. All right, so today we got Luis the Baboon Palomino.
Sure.
You already know, a Miami
Hey.
legend, a Miami fighting legend, and a bare knuckle fighting champion and legend, still undefeated. Just so you guys know, he's the undefeated bare knuckle #1 pound for pound world champion, 6 title defenses, 7-time champ at 155 and 165. He's the king, and he's a 4-time MMA world champion. So thank you for your time. First of all, thank you for joining us. This is a legendary episode, and the first thing I want to say is shout out to Yuli the Monster Diaz. He's the one that helped us get this legend on the show, so you know legend respects legends.
Yes, sir.
And we're just happy that you're here, bro. So
Right, thank you for having
your
me.
time.
Yeah, it's
Of
huge,
course.
bro. Double
Of course.
champ.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Yeah, bro, that's wild. The amount of championships that you have and have defended is amazing. So congrats
Yes.
to you. Before we
Thank
get
you.
into fighting, we want to get to know you a little bit. So if you can tell us where you're from and how you ended up in Miami and how long you've been here and how do you like it?
I was born in Lima, Peru, and at the age of 10, my father brought me with a photo switch passport, completely different identity. So I had to like memorize a Mexican's life and an American's, a Mexican American's life. So I had to like memorize some of the American history, Mexican history. My name was Miguel.
That's my middle name.
So yeah, so I had to like study for 6 months before coming to the country. It was crazy. It was like a hell of an experience, you know. But I came in straight plane, landed in California, and been here since then, man. 32 years now.
So you've been on point since that day.
Yes, sir.
Damn. So how was it in California?
California was beautiful. I loved California. I honestly never wanted to leave California. We lived very well. We lived very good. You know, my father was somewhat of like a DEA in Peru, you know,
Okay.
and in that time, there was a lot of terrorism in my country. So, busted the wrong people, got the wrong, you know, the right threats to make them haul ass.
Sounds like you
You
busted
know.
the right people.
He had, exactly. Well, you know,
That's crazy.
they came after and he had to take off, and little by little he had to bring his family. But what happens when you come into this country illegally and you switch on law? You know what I mean? You're changing your whole life. And I gotta, you know, I don't say it in the form of bragging for, you know, for what things that my dad has done, but I I am grateful for the sacrifices that he did that brought us all here and gave us all an opportunity to have the American dream. You know what I mean? And those are the moves, you know, that he had to make to bring his family forward. You know, he had no choice. You know what I mean? It's not like he was a bad man and came to America and said, I'm Scarface." You know, he had to use his knowledge the other way around, in which he did. And a year later, he brings my mom with my two sisters over the border, like literally crossed the border running.
Wow.
And a year later, he's making more money now, and he brings me with a photo switch passport, different than Danny. And a year later, he brings my older brother.
Wow.
And a year later, he brings my other brother. And before he can bring my last brother, he goes to prison. You know, so he hits prison, and now I'm 13, turning 14. At this time, I had already been boxing for 3 years in California. I started boxing in California. That's where everything began for me, right? And when he gets to prison, now my mom, you know, the warrior that she is, right? What was she? She was a home wife, right? A housewife. What she knew how to do?
In
Cook,
Peru?
clean. Yeah, in
Okay.
Peru, in California, she was a housewife.
Okay.
You know, so now you have my mom, no English, 6 kids, no papers,
Wow.
husband in prison. So that's when we make the move to Miami. My mom came to Miami. We went and we lived in 79th Street. And right after Biscayne, there's a hotel right there on the bridge. We lived in that hotel for nearly a year, all of us, in a 1-bedroom.
Wow.
And after that, we moved into a 1-bedroom apartment that we lived in for like 3 or 4 years. And in that same block, we call it 71st Street Beach Clique. And that's where I grew up. That was my hood.
That's fire.
You know what I mean? Back then, when there was the whole gang activity time, right?
Yeah.
And we lived very united family. We lived together. But look, you know, fast forward now, my youngest baby sister's a registered nurse practitioner. My other sister, older than her, is just graduating now from forensic science. You know, my older brother Pedro is a vet that's had Hillary Clinton in the backseat of his car. You know, he's an army vet. He has business of his own. You know, my older brother Paco is still fighting for his papers. He's the only one that had, came late, came after, and I'm sitting here, holding 11 world titles.
That's
So
amazing.
my mom did
Shout
good.
Shout out to
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
shout out to your family. Shout out to your
Thank you.
mom.
That's
She's
huge,
she's a
bro.
warrior. Your dad. I mean, you're one of the best fighters, and your dad clearly was one of the best DEA agents over there.
Yes,
So
sir.
that
Yes,
runs
sir.
in the blood, and then you shouted out your whole family with the success that they've had. Like, that's amazing, man.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
and that's a powerful story. There's so many people in Miami that relate to being first generation here, and they got to thank their parents and their grandparents just for making the
Yes.
sacrifice, just to,
Yes.
to leave somewhere, to go somewhere that you don't even speak the language.
Yes,
Like,
man, yeah.
how I can't imagine that's gonna be so tough.
Tough, man. It was
Yeah.
tough for my mom. It was tough, watching her grow up. Growing up, watching her go through all this. You know what I mean? In the beginning, as a teenager, you're mad at the world. You know what I mean? Like me, I was mad. I have a tooth mark in every single knuckle
What the-
before bare knuckle started.
You're getting ready.
You know that I was born for this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I was mad. I was mad at the world. I felt like the police took my father away from me. I felt like I was mad at my father for not being there. You know what I mean? And then you grow up and then you start to realize, like, man, that man sacrifices freedom to give me what I have today. You know what I mean? What he gave me was an opportunity that I wouldn't have had over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he gave it to all of my siblings. You know what I mean? And even though my mom had to carry us, and my brother, my older brother Paco, he assumed the responsibility of my father. That he could have easily moved out of the house before all of us. He was the last one to move out. He stayed behind and took care of us. You know what I mean? So it's a real strong immigrant story, but we prevailed, man. We're here.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
That's the hustle for real. Especially
Exactly.
in Miami. The
Exactly.
Miami hustle is a lot of immigrants, just
Yes.
doing our thing and going as hard as we do for our parents.
Yes.
So again, like, shout out to you, shout out to the family.
Thank you.
Do you think you got into the sport of boxing because you were mad at the world, or because you actually liked the sport and then you just blended the two?
The real story to the way I got into boxing was when I was in California. My brother Pedro, that he's the army vet. The dude is like, he was built like a bodybuilder when he was like 13 years old. I don't know how, right? Like the dude. See, my mom's side of the family, we go back to Angola, Africa. So my great grandfather's from Angola, Africa. So we got the black gene in there, strong, right? Like you go to my the Rivas side of the family in Peru, they're like black, tall, monsters, right? And in my dad's side of the family, is more like the Spaniard, even a little Chink Japanese maybe, in there, smaller. The if you will, the weaker gene, physically speaking, right?
Okay.
I got that. I didn't get none of the nice muscles, and
You got the heart,
You
though.
know, I got the heart, but my brother had all the gifts in the muscle, right? So my dad said, "Let's go. We're gonna take you to a boxing gym. California's full of boxing gyms, right?" So I was this little scrawny kid, and I'm 10 years old, and I'm like, "Hey, can I go with you guys?" And like, okay, let's go. So we went over there. He signed us up for boxing. My brother Pedro did boxing for about 3 months. I don't even know if he made it to 6 months. And it wasn't for him. It just wasn't for him. It's not his thing, I stayed there for 3 years. That's where it began for me, So it was really a thing of like, can I tag along? And that ended up being something that I loved.
You never know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And how was it for you growing up in Miami as a teen? You said you were like 13 years old, and back in the day in that area.
Come on,
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So a lot of activity. How was it for you, like when it comes to school and then, outside of school? Did you play any sports?
It was tough, man. I stopped playing sports when I was in California because I was actually pretty good at soccer. I was actually good. My uncle was a soccer coach. My cousin that I've never met before, my blood-related cousin, is Paolo Guerrero. The dude is like a multimillionaire. Like he's a famous soccer player. When I came to California, I was like, I grabbed the ball and I took it from one side to the other side by myself, made the goal. And they didn't like that shit, bro. They really did not like it. I was cursing. They said they came out snitching, saying that I was cursing too
you got
much.
that Miami
and they
attitude,
kicked me
that's
out.
why.
Yeah.
They don't like that
They
in
kicked me
California.
out. They kicked me out. They kicked me out of the team and said, okay, so fuck that. And then fast forward over here, man, there was no sports for me. Everything was like like you said, you know how the gang activity. We're talking about the Wilos, the Syndicates, you name it, the Disciples, like all the gangs you could think of, in every corner. And I never liked. I come from boxing, 3 years boxing. Everything was 1-on-1, you know. So when I came here and there was like 3, 4 guys jumping one, to me that was coward shit. I never joined a gang. You know, we always did this shit, beach clique. It wasn't a gang because we were all a clique from the beach that would take care of each other. But for me to get to those positions, like I had to fight a lot, and I got into a lot of fights that had nothing to do with me because I didn't like people taking advantage of people. As a matter of fact, I have a sponsor today. Okay, I don't like mentioning his name. He knows who he is. That he sponsors me today because of what I did back in the days, right? He was gonna get jumped by 4 guys in my block. I'm coming down, going to the beach, and I see this guy against the wall, gold chain, nice jersey, you know. It was a job,
didn't know
right?
him?
I knew him from school, but I didn't know him.
Gotcha.
I didn't even know his name. But I know I knew him from school, you know. But we weren't friends. You know, he was a baseball player. You know what I mean? I was like a thug, if you will, right? Street boy. And had 4 guys corner him, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, "Nah, man, they want to take my chain." Yeah, well, something. Let's take it. Ba 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 ba. We start swinging on them. They didn't take shit. You know, so it was 2 of us against 4. They didn't take nothing. Years passed. Fast forward, my first title ever. I go to Connecticut, and I fight at 155 pounds, and I win my first title. I come back to Miami, and this is the first time that I go to a club, and I'm in a VIP. So I was broke. I grew up broke, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in a VIP because somebody took me there to celebrate. And next to my seat is this dude. And he's like, "Hey, Palomino." We're both already drinking. We're drinking, no? He's
Getting
like,
good.
"You're exactly where it is." Just telling the story. Like, "You don't remember me, do you?" Like, "I remember you because I remember the face, but I don't remember what he's talking about."
Yeah.
Like, and he tells me the story. Like, "Nah, you did this." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." But I had done that so many times, you know, with different people, different occasions. I didn't, you know. And he reminded me of it. And since then, that dude's response to me today. Still my sponsor. Because he became something.
huge,
That's
bro.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's a full circle moment right there.
Exactly, you know. So I think it was my good deed that came back. You know?
Karma's
Yeah.
real, bro.
Oh, yes, it is.
If you move in life with positive, good vibes,
Yes, it is.
it will repay you.
Yes, it is.
From the streets, getting jumped or almost getting jumped to VIP sections.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Balling.
I mean, there was times that I was in my dark zones that I did bad karma too, man, and that came back to me too.
Yeah.
I did a lot of bad
That's
too,
how you
man.
learn.
I
You
did a lot of
gotta-
bad too, and that came back to me. I paid for that. I think I paid a lot of that stuff. But I think I paid mostly, if not all of it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I am where I am today. At this age, a fighter in my weight class is either retired or getting beat up. There's like, you're 43 years old in a lightweight division. That's the deepest division there is in combat sports. Lightweights. That's the deepest division there is. The majority of the humanity is there. Lightweight, 145, 155, that's the weight class. You know what I mean? So the competition that was, you know, so for a person my age to be here, undefeated, untouched, only 2-weight division, undefeated champion.
Pound for pound number
Pound
one.
for pound number 1. Yeah, you know, I think it has to do a lot with karma and just the maturity and having the right people around you, you know?
Yeah, I agree, and I know you're into the Japanese culture.
Oh,
I know
yes.
I seen you come out with that sword. First of all, is it a real sword?
I always came out with a real sword until we started going to the Hardrock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So I
Okay.
came and they didn't let me come out with a sword because they didn't even let me walk in with the sword.
Okay, that makes
I was
sense.
like,
That's why I
damn.
asked. That's why I
I was
asked.
like, "What you mean? It's not even sharp." And like, "Yeah,
It's
it
not
is."
even sharp.
And since then, I
That's
come in with a
hilarious.
fake one now because I can't bring it in a hard rock. Yeah, sure. Security reasons, right?
A katana.
No, but
A katana.
I love how it's a show before the show starts. Like that's what it's about. It's kind of like WWE back in the day when they had those huge intros. Like
Yeah.
when I saw you come out with that sword, I'm like, bro. I was like, yo, this guy already won. I was like, I don't know who he's gonna fight, but it doesn't matter. So tell me about that Japanese culture and why you got into that.
Man, look, in Instagram, I remember a friend of mine named Chris, you know, may he rest in peace, he passed away. Chris is the one that put me onto Instagram. I was just on Facebook back then. I've never been into the computer stuff.
Good
I'm
for
a little
you.
dinosaur when it comes to this stuff, you know? And he put in like, "Man, you would do good with Instagram." Like, okay, pop. And I remember since that first, this time out like 10 years ago, you know? I put my bio, and in my bio, you'll see it says Samurai Spirit. I've always had that. I've always had that feeling, you know, before the samurai movie came out, like, you know what I mean? Like, I always had that feel and that attraction to the samurai way, you know, honor, discipline, respect, which we live in a world today where all of that is like cliche now, right? All of that is not it's not what calls the attention today. Now it's all about popularity and how you insult people and how good you are at insulting people and disrespecting people.
Yeah.
And that's what they put the lights on right now. You know what I mean? And that's what the algorithm pushes.
Yeah,
right?
it's not built into the
It's
culture.
no. So like I'm very old school, you know. So when it came to the samurai way, because the martial arts, man, from boxing was very respectful thing. Then I went to capoeira, Brazilian martial arts. I speak fluent Portuguese thanks to capoeira, and thanks to capoeira, I'm not dead or in jail right now. That's what really kept me out of the street, because that was a time that I was, you could say that I was around the gangbangers. You know what I mean? Like I was fighting everybody, I was fighting everywhere. I was doing dumb shit myself. I was doing dumb things. I was selling things I shouldn't have sold. I was moving things around that I shouldn't have moved around. You know what I mean? I was getting into fights that I shouldn't have gotten into. I did a lot of bad things myself that I completely regret and I completely walked away from because it wasn't a part of who I really wanted to be. And I got away from it, thank God. And capoeira, martial arts, is what did it for me. Just to answer the question, is the lifestyle of martial arts is what saved my life, and that's why I always look at myself like that samurai spirit, that respect, the honor, the integrity of a real warrior.
Yeah.
You know?
You ever read Book of the Five Rings?
Not yet.
Miyamoto Musashi? Like, that book
Yeah.
is crazy.
You have to remind me of that one before we leave,
For
because
sure, I got
I
you.
just started reading again.
Cool.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I used to read
get it
before.
on audiobook. Fire.
Okay.
Story of a Samurai, Undefeated. Like,
Remind me that before
Yeah.
we leave, because
Sounds
I
like
want
this.
to get on that one.
yeah,
Yes.
no, it's a badass.
you gotta
Show
it's
me
a
right
badass
there.
story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, reading is good. I recommend it for anybody that's listening. Reading,
Yes,
if you can
sir.
take 30 minutes a day, read,
Yes.
let's say 10 pages a day.
Yep.
That's 10 pages a day is actually 300 pages in a month. 300 pages is a nice book full of good knowledge. And in reality, 30 minutes a day is not a lot. It's just that building the habit and getting back into it, which I need to start doing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to
Getting
all the readers
started.
out there.
Getting started on it,
Yeah.
right?
But
'Cause
it's
like,
also discipline. You got to be able to sit there and just focus.
yeah, like nobody, not one teacher can get me to read a book. My mom, nobody.
Same.
You know what got me to get reading? You heard it here in the Miami Hustle only. Your boy did mushrooms,
Oh shit, let's go.
magic mushrooms.
Mushrooms got you into
psilocybin.
reading.
And taking trips in high school is what got my curiosity started to the point that I started reading books.
Interesting.
Nice.
And it really educated myself. Like, I ended up not graduating from high school because I got kicked out of high school for fighting and other things. But I had a 4.0 GPA and I was barely in school.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and I read a lot and I stopped. Kind of went away from reading for a very long time. My sister just got me back into reading because I was really getting into now finances, which we are all financially illiterate,
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yep.
Because they don't teach us that.
They don't teach
They
us
don't
credit
wanna
scores.
teach you.
They don't teach
They
us
don't
credit
teach us
scores
that.
in high school for a reason.
Yeah, so my sister told me, hey, you need to read this book that you're talking about, all this stuff. It's called The Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey.
Nice.
I recommend that book. Educate yourself. It's a really good tool.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like you said, the hardest thing is getting started. Once you
Getting
get started, if you like the book, like, choose the book that you like and that you enjoy. When you read that first chapter, if it's a good book, you're gonna look forward to reading that second chapter.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
it's a snowball effect.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like, I can't wait to finish this book.
Yes,
Yeah. And then it's like,
it
what
really
else
keeps
can
you
I
like,
learn?
oh man,
Yeah.
yes.
My first book that I ever read on my own, because again, in high school, like you, I would doodle on books instead of reading. Like I just didn't, but I would get good grades. But the first book I ever read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that book from Robert Kiyosaki, it teaches you a lot about what they don't teach you in school when it comes to finances.
Good,
And
there you go.
that, to me, like, it sparked something in me that I'm like, wow, there's so much knowledge out here that I don't know about.
Man. And you're talking about the attention span, right? A book, you look at it like, 200-300 pages, and like, damn, to read this to here, from here to here, right? So the book that caught my attention was The Roving Mind by Isaac Asimov. And it was like short stories.
Oh, okay,
It was
cool.
dope. That
Yeah.
book was dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely gonna check it out.
that's a lot better than staring at a screen all day as well. That's why reading books, like audiobooks is cool, like knowledge is cool, but reading a physical copy is a lot better in my opinion.
Definitely.
But you mentioned that you got kicked out of high school.
Yes.
And you've been boxing and fighting your whole life. So how are you able to, aside from being in the streets, how are you able to get a job and make some money while you were fighting?
So I've worked so many jobs, man. It's ridiculous. I went from like car washing, dishwashing, you name every single immigrant job that there is out there, I did it. And there was a time that I took a bad turn that I can't say the actual words because my attorney has told me not to say certain words
Okay.
to not incriminate myself. But I did bad things, and I started losing respect for money, and I started losing respect for how to make money. So in that time, what I did was I put myself in construction, and I didn't put myself just in any construction. I literally put myself in insulation. You know what insulation is?
It's the worst one.
Insulation is fiberglass. That's what they put in your roof so that the heat doesn't come through. All right, so that's fiberglass. So just picture a house, windows are closed, everything's closed in the summer of Miami. You know that heat?
Yeah.
There's no windows open, there's no AC, and you're in the roof. Hanging fiberglass insulation that goes in your skin, that's glass in your skin
Yeah,
that
it's
you're breathing.
toxic.
I did that for 4 years just to respect what it is to earn a living again.
I mean, I kind of feel you. I did for 3 years. I was cleaning pools with my dad and my brother.
Yes.
And cleaning pools in the sun in Miami, you could only imagine.
Yes,
I'd be drenched in sweat all day, every day. But it did teach me to, respect money. And then also, I was able to listen to, motivational stuff as I cleaned and shit. So,
Yeah, of
but that's a
course.
tough job. And you did that. Shout out to you because you did that. You put yourself through that.
Well, my son did it for me. I had just had a baby. You know what I mean?
How old were
My
you at
son
the time?
Vince,
Yeah.
I was 22.
Okay.
I had just had my firstborn, and I said, I'm not gonna let my son grow without a father like I did. I'm not gonna do that to him. So I let go of everything and I went that route.
Nice.
And
That's
from
at
then
a
I
young
started
age.
fighting. Yeah, very young.
Yeah, you grew up quick.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to.
That's amazing. And so now let's talk about the fighting world. You pretty much have made it in bare knuckle. I don't think there's anyone above you. You are the number one, and everyone wants that belt. Everyone wants to fight against you. So how do you feel going into this next fight, February 2nd, for those that don't know, at the Hardrock?
Yeah, so February 2nd, I finally will have the chance to defend my second world title for the first time, right? So I defended a 155-pound title 6 times. The longest streak has been 3 by Joey Beltran, former UFC, former Bellator heavyweight. He had 3 defenses. I doubled it. I have 6 world title defenses, 155 pounds. I took care of everybody, and every time there's a big, so-called big name, they don't want to fight me. So they had Chad Mendes, for example. They signed him. I called the organization. Hey, what's up? Hey, hold up a second. Let him get his feet wet. He gets his feet wet, and then he goes away for a year because I was calling him out back to back after every show. And he comes back a year later to fight Eddie Alvarez. So now they have Eddie Alvarez. They have Chad Mendes. This is my weight class. Chad Mendes, Eddie Alvarez, but they don't want to fight me. Or the organization doesn't want to risk those big names to fight me. I don't know. All I know is that I'm here raising my hand ready to fight them, and they don't want to put them against me. You know what I mean?
That's funny because usually it's the other way around. Usually the champ is at the top, and
you're
everyone,
getting called out, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Everyone wants to call
Well,
him out, but you're
so-
out here trying to call others out,
Exactly. So
trying to say like, "Yo, take my belt."
I'm trying
Like,
to get
good
paid,
luck.
right? I showed you my collection, right? I have enough belts, and I think that I've done enough to earn a money fight, and I've been asking for this money fight. So what I did was, I got tired of asking the guys in my weight class because they're not responding. They hide behind their fame, so I don't do the social media stuff. I just started doing it, so I don't have the followers that they want. So then I started aiming at Mike Perry, right? Mike Perry's, mind you, right? I have in MMA 145-pound title, 155-pound title. That's how small I am. I can make 145. There are UFC fighters that fight 155 that can never make 145. That's you can imagine
Yeah.
the size that they really walk around with, right? So I could do 145 today. If I wanted to do 145, I could do 145 because I'm very disciplined and I know about nutrition. I can do it because I'm not that big of a person. I walk around like this, 170 pounds. You know what I mean? Most 155ers in UFC walk around 185, 190. Someone walk around 200 and drop to 155.
From 170 to
That's crazy.
130 is no joke, though.
No, man.
For you to say that shows how much of a warrior you are, because
It's-
many people, many
it's a lot.
athletes will just be like, "Nah, it's too much. The weight drain, this, and that.
Yes.
I'll get tired."
So at 145, 155, I'm in BKFC. I have the six defenses at 155, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go 165 so they can keep me more active. So I win the title, and I've asked in my last 3 fights to defend that title, and I wasn't given the opportunity. And then I was stripped from that title because they didn't want me holding 2 weight divisions, but they were the ones not giving me the title anyway, the title defense. But they don't want me to hold it, right? So they gave the belt to somebody else. That person went on and ended up leaving the organization, so they stripped them from the belt. So then when they gave me Trout debuted at 165 pounds against Diego the Nightmare Sanchez, UFC vet. So since he debuted at 165, and he's the highest level glove boxer ever signed to the organization. This is a 2-time former WBA World Champion. This dude fought the Charlo brothers, Canelo, and gave him a run for his money. Knocked out Miguel Cotto. Like, the dude is high level. I said, if he debuted at 165, he's this ranking boxer, then let me defend my belt against this dude, because that's the highest competition there is right now in the weight class, you know? And they finally said, you know what? You know, the other guy dropped the belt because they stripped him because he left the organization. He went to some other organization to fight. They said, okay, champ, you know, here's your shot to defend your belt. So they gave me back my belt, and I'm gonna defend the belt on February 2nd against Austin Trout at 165 pounds. You know, and that would make me the first and only BKFC fighter in history to reach 10-0. Nobody has passed 8. I did 8-0, 9-0. Now I'm gonna break the 10-0, the double digits, and the first to reach 7 world title defenses, and the first and only 2-weight division undefeated bare knuckle champion.
That's history.
That's
amazing.
Literally
It's history.
a BKFC legend already.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. And would you say that this is the toughest competitor that you go against?
1,000%. You know, look, in a sense, it is, and some people are gonna say no, right? Because you're gonna have your haters, you know. You're gonna have your people that are gonna talk, and they're gonna give you their 2 cents, and I can agree in some sense, right? That because, for one, even though he is a very high grade boxer, right, and he has all these accolades and all these fights, it's like 50 something and like 3 or 5 in he's still ranked in glove boxing. Dude is not no, like, he's good, you know. Even though he has all of that, in BKFC he only has 1 fight. You know, so it's kind of like saying, right, he has all those fights in glove boxing, and the organization posted his interview, and in his interview he says, Palomino is not the biggest I've ever fought. He's not the biggest man I've ever fought. He's not the most dangerous man I've ever fought. On the other hand, I'm the biggest name he's ever fought. And I'm like, man, this dude don't forget that I have a whole other career before BKFC. I boxed with dudes with 4-ounce gloves, man. I fought far more dangerous men than you ever fought. You fought one-dimensional people that had big old pillow gloves, you know what I mean, compared to MMA gloves, knees, elbows, kicks, submissions. You want to talk about dangerous men? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in another level when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So some people will say, you know, he has all of that background in glove boxing, but in bare knuckle he only has 1, while I have 9.
Hey, you know, Rocky said it's not about how hard you can get hit. Or no, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit. So
and
that's
keep
exactly
moving
what
forward.
you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
bare knuckle is completely different than with the gloves on. So
Yes, sir.
It's a whole different game.
It's a complete
and
different animal.
he needs to prove himself on that end. You know, he's a great boxer. He has hands, but how hard can you get hit
Yeah,
without
exactly.
the gloves? You know, you still got to prove that. You have proven that.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I think it's going to be a brawl. I think you have the upper hand because of that.
Yes,
Aside from you being the best in BKFC and he's stepping into your ring, you know, you're not going to be stepping into his
Nah.
squared octagon or whatever.
Square circle. is what they call
Square
it.
circle, yeah.
They call it a
It's
square
crazy.
circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think you have the upper hand on that. Do you feel like that as well? Like you feel comfortable, or you
Yeah,
think
you
it's
know,
still
I
gonna
feel
be?
completely confident in my abilities for this fight. I think, you know, and his style is very like, it's a little sit back, feel out. He's long, you know, and in glove boxing, you know, you have this defense where you think that punch is not gonna get through.
Yeah.
There's no gloves here. You know what I mean? Like, you can be like this, and the punch is gonna go right through the middle.
Yeah.
You know, you can be like this, and the punch will go right through here. You know, like, the holes are there, right? And then this is what people don't understand. You know, this is one of the biggest things of bare knuckle. The difference between every single combat sports out there and bare knuckle. In every single combat sport out there, you feel pain when you get hit. At some point in time in the fight, you're gonna feel pain when you get hit. In bare knuckle, at some point in time, you're gonna feel pain when you get hit, and you're gonna feel pain when you give hits, because there's no padding in your hands, and you only have 2 hands. Those hands turn into mitts within the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, those are your weapons.
So good luck fighting 3 more rounds like that. You know
Yeah, it's
what I'm
gonna be
saying?
fun to watch.
Yeah.
For sure. Plus,
And you had messed up your hand in the last fight, right?
Yes, I have 1 fracture in 9 fights. which is pretty damn good.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
big
good.
time.
You're all about precision.
Precision, and I do condition my knuckles. You know,
Nice.
people don't know about that stuff. Some people are doing it now. I posted some videos and people are catching on to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Brian, a guy with Duran, he
He
does some
he
shit.
stays, yeah, he stays.
Stays punching
He
random
hammering
shit
that
all the
shit down
time.
there.
He stays ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about that too. And one thing we didn't talk about is also blood. When you're boxing and you have gloves on, sometimes there's blood, sometimes there's not. Bare knuckle, most of the time
There's
in the
gonna be
first
blood.
round, there's
get
blood
cut.
on your face that you might not be used to when it comes to all the movement and just like the non-stop drip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know all about that. So again, you got that advantage.
Yes, sir. And that even in that advantage goes both ways, man. You know, unfortunately, sometimes you don't got to be the better fighter to win. Sometimes in this game, man. You know, sometimes, you know, you'll suffer a big enough cut from somebody that wasn't practically better than you. He wasn't necessarily better than you. He just cut you, and he cut you big enough to get the fight stopped, and now you lost.
Yeah.
So you know, it's
That is
there's
tough,
a
man.
lot
You
to
never
this
know.
game.
You never
Yeah, for
know.
You
sure.
just never know. It's
That's
a
why
lot to
we
this
love
game.
BKFC because you never know.
You
Like
never
you can
know.
get two fighters that have great skill, but at the end of the day, like you said, somebody can get cut up or just hit the way that you never would have thought. Like with bare knuckle, nothing, literally anything can happen,
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like literally anything can happen.
and everything happens so fast.
Yes.
Like within the first round, a lot of times it's done.
Done. Man, we've had how many? I think we've had like 3 or 4 shows where we've had 10 fights, 10 knockouts. Think about that. 10 fights, 10 knockouts.
That's called entertainment.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's why it's the fastest growing combat sports in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to focus. I don't want to focus too much on other fighters because you know you got the big fight coming up in February 2nd. But you mentioned the money fight and you mentioned Platinum Mike Perry. Is that something that you think he would accept, or is that something that's kind of like
So-
not in your hands, not in his hands?
So in his last fight when he fought Eddie Alvarez, I was there. I flew over there because I called the organization and said, hey, look, man, Dave Feldman is the CEO, you know, the president, and I have a good relationship with him. You know, I called him and said, Dave, let me ask you something. What happens? This is a what if. What happens if one or the other gets injured? Then what happens? That's the main event. Then what do you got? So wouldn't it be good to put me as a replacement? Somebody happens to step in. You know what I mean? And he was like, you're right. So he flew me out there, and I was there. And I had been like attacking Eddie Alvarez, and I've already apologized to him a couple of times because I was being a dick.
We're so scissor each
I was
other.
being a dick
Hey, but
because you know, it's not my personality, but it's like what some of these fans want
part of
and
the
the
game.
organization. They
Yeah.
want you to sell the fight and kind of step out of, you know. I was disrespecting him a lot, you know, because I was like taking it like he didn't want to fight me. You know what I mean? That he'd rather fight a bigger guy that's a little slower, you know. And in the press conference before the fight, after before the weigh-ins, I was there and I asked a question, right? And I said, since I was picking on him, on Eddie Alvarez, I kind of asked the question only to him, right? And I let Mike Perry out because I look at Mike Perry like a dog. I'm cool with Mike Perry. I have no beef, zero beef. We cool. We see each other, we say what's up. You know, I respect him, he respects me. You know, I've always been a fan of Mike Perry. I like watching him fight.
I've always been a fan of him too. I met him
Yeah.
for the first
He's a
time the other
dog.
day. Shout out to Karate Combat. They threw a crazy mansion party.
Yes, sir.
But
That's a
I
good
met him
event.
there, and he's a super cool guy.
Super cool dude, entertaining to talk to, entertaining to watch. But this is the fight game. This is the hurt business, you know? And in this point, I asked, you know, will one of them face the pound for pound? And I kind of like not asked that question in the end of it to Perry, and I only aimed it at Eddie Alvarez because I gave Perry the benefit of the doubt that he would not duck a fight for me. He's the bigger guy. He's the monster, right? You know, I'm the smaller guy. And Eddie Alvarez's answer was, Luis, he says, as long as they pay me what I'm getting paid in this fight, I'll fight you every day of the week, twice on Sundays. And everybody was laughing. Okay, cool, boom. You know, so the question was to him. So then, after the fight, there's a press conference. And Perry had called out everybody and their mama that was not in BKFC. Right? Trying to get a big name fight, another big name fight.
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
what he needs to do, right?
Fishing.
All right. And then a guy interviewing said, Perry, You know, we heard you calling all these people out, but let's stay in the organization. And how about, you know, answering the call out from the pound for pound, the champ, Palomino? And his answer wasn't, you know, he had just became the king of violence. They made a brand new belt just for those two guys to fight for. And they considered him the king of violence and the crown of the king of violence. And his answer wasn't very violent. His answer to that question was, well, you know, I think that whoever the company puts in front of me has to have a certain amount of followers on Instagram and comments and like.
Is this celebrity boxing or is this bare knuckle fighting?
So I posted that clip on my social media, you know, on my Instagram. He got crucified for that one. Like literally, they went at him.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah,
Like this is the king of violence? Like what do you mean? Like you're ducking the champ? Like I'm the smaller guy. You know, like people were tripping, right? And I still give Perry the benefit of a doubt that was not from him. That wasn't a genuine answer from him. That was his management. Because I got beef with his management.
Oh, okay.
His managers don't like me. They wanted to sign me years ago. I never signed with them. And
Yo, do they want to step
know,
in the ring?
you know what I'm saying? They you know what I'm saying? They blocked me a couple times.
Sure.
I mean, they blocked me. When Yuli fought Thiago Alves, that fight was supposed to be my fight. I challenged Thiago Alves because I was looking for the money fight. Once again, at 170 pounds. Thiago wrote to me directly. Said, champ, I appreciate the respectful call out, but fighting you at 170 does nothing for my career. You know, I fight at 175 in BKFC. I said, okay, Thiago, well, I'll fight you at 175 then. And I was like, might as well do it for the title then. I wasn't looking to fight at 175 for anybody. I was looking for a money fight, you know? And since I'm going to fight a big guy at 175, might as well do it for the title, right? So I was negotiating back and forth with BKFC with David Feldman. And we were like about to close the deal. And here comes Malky, the first round management, which is the same manager of Mike Perry, which is the same manager of Yuli and Thiago. And he decided to double dip and put both of his guys to fight each other because he makes money. He doesn't care who wins or who loses. So he put Yuli to fight Thiago. And he bumped me out of the question. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that day, Perry was next to his Malky's brother. I forgot his name. And I can tell that answer wasn't genuine. That answer that he gave didn't sound genuine. Didn't sound like Mike Perry. Mike Perry's a dog, man. He ain't scared of nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He probably like, nah, you gotta, you know, say something like this.
It
like,
sounded like what he should have said.
Exactly.
Political answer.
Exactly. And that's what he gave. He got crucified for that.
That's
You know? So to answer the question,
Maybe in
do
the
I
near
see that
future.
fight happening? Do I see that fight happening? David Feldman is a man of his word. And the last time that I spoke to him was a couple weeks ago. He says, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. And he meant you put on a show in this fight, you make the people want to see you fight, and I'll make the Perry fight happen. So after this fight, I don't want no other fight that's not Mike Perry.
Hell yeah.
That's what we like
That's
to
a
hear.
big time. That's
Let's
gonna
go.
be amazing. I love your style, bro. Your style, like
Maybe.
you move so super well. You throw crazy punches. You do spinning back. You didn't even do a spinning back fist. A spinning back
spinning
punch.
hook.
Like
Yeah.
some crazy shit. Like
They banned it, bro. Can you believe
They
that?
banned it?
In some states you can still do it. In Florida you can't do it no more.
so you can't do a spinning back fist.
No, because they no back fist.
Okay, no back fist at all.
What I
Not
did
in
was
Florida.
You did
in
a punch.
MMA I used to do a spin into a hook, but I would only do it in sparring. Never did it in a fight because every time I fought in MMA, everything was about taking me down. People didn't want to stand up with me. So if I spin, people go under me and take me down. You know, so I would surprise people in sparring.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for years. So now since I have no takedown, I'm not worried about no takedown in bare knuckle. I spin out of nowhere. I just didn't even plan that. Just spin and block, caught him with a hook. You know, didn't catch him clean. He kind of defended it. But some guy copied that in BYB after me
Okay.
and knocked the dude out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I don't know the guy's name, but yeah, he thanked me and everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he showed me some love for it, but he got it from me.
Sick.
He did a spinning into a hook. You can't hit with the back of the hand.
Okay.
So in bare knuckle, they want to do the rules as close as they can to boxing.
boxing. I got you.
So if you go to box rec, my record counts as boxing. So in boxing, I'm 9-0
Sweet.
Nice.
in box rec.
Nice.
You
So
did
the,
that.
the
I've seen
style
you-
has to be, you know, similar.
Yeah.
Nice.
You did Superman punch too, like.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
bro.
banned that in here too, man.
no,
So you
what's
can't
wrong?
just, you know, you
Come on,
get
BKFC.
creative.
Yeah.
I know it's not BKFC, it's the commission.
Oh, all right.
You know, because it's they're putting it as close as they can to boxing. You know, and we already can do clinch. We can grab the head and punch. So hopefully after that, they're not taking away at least.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that shit's crazy enough as it is with no gloves. Spinning around and shit, that's wild.
Well,
Well,
it's exciting,
it
bro.
comes down because in boxing, you can't turn your back on an opponent.
Gotcha.
So that's why they don't allow the spinning punch.
Gotcha.
It's not about the
Okay.
spin, it's about turning your back. You can't turn your back.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy in there though. So yeah, man, February 2nd, you already
Yes, sir.
know. It's gonna be exciting. We hope to see all you guys there. I mean, we're gonna pull up. We love going
We're
to
out there,
BKFC
bro.
fights, especially at the Hardrock. It's a movie.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, man. I mean, I would say the last question is, what does Miami mean to you?
Miami, the true meaning of Miami for me and my family is Miami is home. I've been to Russia, St. Petersburg, Slovakia,
Wow.
Chile, Peru. I've been around, man. I've been, I've got, I finally got my green card. I've been able to travel, and you come back to Miami, even when you go to different states, Texas, Colorado, you name it, you know what I mean? And you come back to Miami, Miami is just home. Miami is home. That's what Miami is to me. Miami is home. It will always be home, and I'm always gonna ride for Miami, man.
Shout out to Miami.
Hey, 305 time.
Shout out to all the fighters out there too. We love supporting the fighters. They're real hustlers, just like everybody else that watches the show. Thank you again for your time. We really
Thank you, guys.
appreciate the undefeated champ, and we're gonna have you back when you're 10-0, and then
Yes,
we're gonna maybe we'll hype up the next fight a little bit. We already know. Hopefully, it's Platinum Mike Perry. So you
Damn
might
real.
after this fight, you
Yeah,
might
we
have a
have
lot
to.
to say. You might have a lot to say. So
Oh yes.
we'll
sir.
welcome you back.
All right.
But until for now, it's gonna be fight week focused, and we're just gonna be supporting you, bro. Until
You got
next
it, bro.
time,
You got it.
the hustle
Yes, sir.
continues.
Thank you,
Let's
guys.
do it.
Thank you, bro.
For sure,
Appreciate you.
Anytime, man.
Okay.